Hey all, Joe here with AllFunniesandGames, and today we're looking at doing another drawing video. It's been a little while since I've done one of these, and I've had this idea for a particular monster for a little while now. I've done a few versions of it, just kind of drawing out rough sketches of what I think would make a really good thing to have particularly players come up against in like a tabletop game of some kind. Again, this is a monster, so going to be doing a lot that we did with the orc video, with the uncanny video. Just trying to make this thing scary / creepy / any of that. So first thing that we're going to be going with as far as that goes is fear of a predator. And I'm going to be just doodling up these quick little doodles, I guess, just to kind of help cement for my mind before I get started what the motifs are going to be I'm going for. So first off, fear of a predator. That's probably going to be the biggest part of this thing. Secondly, there's going to be the fear of death, particularly just one skull motif in the thing. It's just going to kind of have a skull for a head, the way that I've designed and envisioned this monster. And so that's going to bring in that element of why you would be afraid of a monster. Third one, probably a little controversial. It has more to do with medieval interpretations than anything else, but it's going to be the fear of hell / demons / the devil. Again, that's going to fit more into medieval motifs. Particularly, it's going to have some goat parts to this creature, and that very much evokes sort of the medieval aesthetic of hellishness. So with that said, those should create some good, creepy moments in here. Well, as always, I'm going to start with these blue rough outlines, and I like to stay zoomed out for this part because it helps get the silhouette of the picture right. It helps me make sure that the thing's going to look right as a whole. And again, we're doing fear of a predator with a lot of this, so I want this thing to be bulky, muscular kind of thing. Something that could really look like it could do some damage. It's going to be a little bit evocative of, there's a type of werewolf called, it's either a loup-garou, or you pronounce the P and it's a loup-garou. I don't remember which, but it's just in fiction. It's basically a werewolf, but bigger and meaner. And it's going to kind of have that hunched over, big, hulking look to this thing. At least ideally. And one way I found that works really well for that is that in this blue rough outline, and this isn't just for monsters, this is for people too, in the blue rough outline, get a picture basically of balloons, big round shapes. And then when you go back for the second pass to do the details, make those shapes a little more angular. And I found that that goes a long way towards making these really buff things look right. Is you get the bulbous, rounded muscles, but then you get some harshness to them as you add the details, right? So the abs might just look like 6 balloons, but then you kind of square off the bottoms a little bit, and you kind of sharpen up the corners and make them maybe even a little more like hexagons. I know there's some artists who go that way with it. So with that, I've just found that to be a really good technique that works for me, personally. Is this blue rough outline is going to be these big round circles, and then when I go in for the details, it's still going to be a little obscured because to get those goatish elements that I think are just somewhat unnerving to a lot of people, at least a lot of Westerners, it's going to be kind of a wiry, matted hair, in addition to these goat hooves in the front. And just for a little bit of uncanny, and maybe slightly towards that fear of taint that you get from vampirism or zombies, these are going to be very human back legs to sort of evoke wait a minute, was this a guy? Is this something that happened to a person? I don't know. I'm saying, hey, let's make it look like maybe that's what happened. I don't know if that's what happened. I don't know all the details of this thing. I haven't even thought up a name of it yet. But these back legs looking very human is going to do a lot towards just helping to make this thing not quite look right. And you can see how these front legs are jointed. They're kind of like praying mantis, where they've got like a human forearm, a human upper arm, and then where the human hand would be is just more leg bent back the other way against the ankle. So, anyway, we're starting the detail layer now, and I'm going to give this thing some horns. Yeah, 4 horns will be good, because that's just unnatural. Things don't normally have 4 horns. I like that. And this is where it's going to have that skull look. It's going to evoke some of that fear of death. A lot of what makes it a skull is that it's going to be more angular. It's going to have a lot harsher edges. The eye sockets, I'm actually just going with empty skull eye sockets. You can put the eyes in and still make it look very skull-ish. It's about having very, very recessed eye sockets. This one I'm just going to do them empty because it's going to convey that a lot easier, I think. So yeah, we'll just have these empty eye sockets just kind of looking out. And then exposed jaw is going to be the other thing that really sets it off, is the angularity of the bones, the sharp lines, the deep recessed sockets, and the exposed meeting where the teeth meet the jaw bones. Having all of that, this should read pretty obviously as skull. So yeah, we'll get these teeth in here now. Do a little bit of that billy goat-ish-ness, just having kind of a beard come out of the hair, just under the chin there. And then real wiry hair from here. And at this point, I think I'm just going to skip ahead as all you'd be watching is me drawing hair, and then some more hair. So let's skip ahead a little bit and jump to the next bit. Alright, so yeah, as we're finishing up the hair here, start getting the feet in. Alright, and so you can see I've done it on here, and I'm going to show you on the tail here, but really to make this hairy look work, it's just about making sure the hair falls naturally. So on the bottom, it's going to be hanging downward. You can see a lot of that's actually pointing down. It's kind of a halfway thing where some of it's going to be pointing straight down and some of it's going to be pointing along the line of the tail so that it kind of looks like what hair would do. Some of it's going to stick, think of your hair. If you lean over, some of it still follows the contour of your head. Some of it kind of drapes down to the side, at least if you have long hair. So, blue line's gone. Here's our outline sketch of this thing. Now we're going to start putting some colors to this. We're going to do a base layer of light gray, a detail layer, or a shadow layer of a darker gray, and then some almost white highlights, and then some actual white highlights right at the end after we've done a little bit more. So let's speed through some of this. Okay, and with that, I think this guy is about done. I like how this thing turned out. I think if I was going to do it again, I might make the tail a little thicker. It kind of gives it a little bit too simian look to have that very narrow tail. But overall, happy with the design. I think this thing is definitely going to put some fear into some tabletop players. So, do a little bit of white highlighting here. Not too much. Yeah, no. I don't want to do too much white highlighting, because if you notice, I did a lot more shadowing than highlighting on this thing. It is meant to be a dark thing, and it's meant to convey that in the color language. So, finish up a couple of little quick splashes of white there, just to give it a little bit more grounding. Definitely whiten up these knees some. Alright, and with that, we will sign it. And there we are. So this thing was a lot of fun to draw. I hope you liked it. If you want to throw this thing at your players, pay attention to my blog. Either the next post or hopefully at the latest the one afterwards. I'm going to stat this thing out for fun and profit. But anyway, if you liked the video, you can like, you can comment, you can subscribe. More than anything, you can tell a friend. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.